Now, imagine that you have hopped onto a red blood cell to tour the heart. You and your blood draft flow into the right atrium from the superior or inferior vena cava, the largest veins in your body. After reaching the right atrium, you have less than a half a second to admire the scenery before the atrium contraction sends you down into the right ventricle. To get from the right atrium to the right ventricle, you have slipped through your tricuspid valve. Heart valves function as perfectly timed doors and only allow blood to flow to move in one direction. After you slide through the first set of valve flaps, they slam shut behind you and the ventricle contracts. This sends you a shooting upward to the pulmonary valves in the pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery sends the blood toward the lungs, splitting into many smaller tubes. You are eventually squeezed through the tiniest tubes in the lungs, alveoli. Within these narrow tubes in the lungs, the red blood cells load up with oxygen and carbon dioxide leaves the blood vessels. Then you and your oxygenated bodies float back to the heart through the pulmonary veins dumps into the left atrium. Soon after you reach the left atrium, a familiar process begins again as the atrium contraction sends you down through the mitral valve and into the final chamber, the left ventricle. From here, you will embark on an adventure through the body, because the next ventricle of the contraction will send you a bursting upward into the aorta. The aorta is a large tube that branches into many other smaller tubes to distribute newly oxygenated blood to the body. To pump blood through the body, the muscles of the heart must work together to squeeze the blood in the right direction, at the right time, and with the right force. Electrical impulses coordinate this activity. The electrical signals begins at the sinoatrial node, sometimes called the sinus or the SA node. This is the heart pacemaker, and it sits at the top of the right atrium. The signal causes the atria to contract, pushing the blood down into the ventricles. The electrical impulses then travel to an area of cells at the bottom of the right atrium, between the atria and the ventricles, called the atrioventricular or AV node. These cells act as a gatekeeper. They coordinate the signal so that the atria and the ventricles do not contract at the same time. There is need to be a slight delay. So, in human body, we got three types of blood vessels. We got the arteries, veins, capillaries. The arteries, these carry oxygenated blood from the heart to the rest of the body. The arteries are strong, muscular, and stretchy, which helps push blood through the circulatory system, and they also help regulate blood pressure. The arteries branch into small blood vessels called the arterioles. Veins, these carry deoxygenated blood back to the heart, and they increase in size as they get closer to the heart. Veins have thinner walls than arteries. The capillaries, these connect the smallest arteries to the smallest vein. They have very thin walls which allow them to exchange compounds such as carbon dioxide, water, oxygen, waste, and nutrients with surrounding tissues. Now, this comes to the end of our tour of the heart. Please don't forget to click the subscribe button.